So let's start with the add-ons that I have. Adibags. This is my favorite bag add-on. I edit mine. I'll show you how to edit it in game. I'll turn on. It's just a questing add-on. Big debuffs. This is an arena add-on that shows the debuff state on the enemy. Big wigs. It's just big wigs. This is BG timers. Details. This is the premier damage meter. Elk experience. This shows your EXP per hour. LVUI. This is the backbone of my UI. It's how most of my stuff is set up. And then LVUI, the Luckyone UI is the specific add-on suite for LVUI that I use. I'll show you how to set it up and finagle with it. Garrison Mission Manager, this is just for the garrison. GladiatorLoSSA 2, this is the add-on that shouts at you during arena. This add-on requires a huge amount of effort, but it's worth it. I'll show you how to edit it. Gladius. Some people like S Arena. I like Gladius. I like the way it looks a lot. I like the size of it. I like where everything's located. If you like S Arena more, that's fine. You can use S Arena. I wouldn't use the default, and I wouldn't try to make LVUI frames out of the arena frame. It's possible, but it's a huge pain in the ass. S Arena is just way easier. I gotta go fast. This is for like keys. Handynotes. This is for crap for like finding treasures. ID tip. This is actually really useful for making weak auras, because whenever you mouse over something, it adds the ID of that thing into the tooltip in the bottom right. So it, like, if you want to make a weak aura for an ability, this just makes it way easier. Little wigs. This is big wigs, but for dungeons. Method raid tools. This is for raiding. Method dungeon tools. This is for setting up dungeons. I don't use them too much. Nameplate cooldowns. This is an arena add-on that I highly recommend editing a bunch. I'll go over that later as well. Omnibar. It tracks enemy cooldowns, but on a bar. Omni CD. This tracks party cooldowns in arena. Paste. This is for it just lets you copy and paste multiple lines in. It's not an important add-on. Plater. This is the best nameplate add-on. It's a little heavy on your computer. I would recommend either going with Plater, or I'd recommend no nameplate add-on at all. If you do go with Plater, I recommend editing it a bunch. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort, but I'll show you how I do mine. I'll show you how to get the best Plater scripts, because the default Plater is ugly as sin. It is bad. Rarescanner. This just pings you. I like Rarescanner a lot. I edit it to not have the pop-ups and to not make the sounds. I just like the text that notifies me that there's a rare, so that way I can look at my minimap and look for it. RC Loot Council. Crap add-on. I hate this thing. I wish people used a different. This thing has so many loot errors, but it's the loot add-on that like every guild uses, so if you're raiding, you're probably going to be using this. Saved instances. This is a really useful add-on for tracking your instances, but it's not really important. Simulation craft. This is important if you're a raider, if you want to up your DPS and compare your gear upgrades. TomTom. It's the little green arrow add-on. Venture plan. This is for the shadowlands table, and then weak auras at the very bottom. Probably one of the most important add-ons. Very core to how I design my UI, but I'm not gonna go crazy on I'm not gonna show you how to like build a suite in this video, but I will show you how to edit one. I deleted all of my add-on data, so I can show you what exactly you have to do to install or to like make your add-ons look like mine. This is assuming you've installed everything that I've installed. This is what you're gonna see when you first log in. The very first thing I would do is I would select Plater. This is going to reload your UI. And then I would go through the LVUI installation. Yeah, set CVRs, set chat. This is a shared profile. This doesn't matter because we're going to override it in a second, but this does matter. UI scale, I set mine to 0.71. That's just what works best for me. You can scale yours down if you need to. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. Then you press finish. This is going to reload your UI. Okay, now we have the Luckyone UI installation. This is the one that actually matters. So you set to DPS/tank. You can either do dark which looks like this. I prefer class. It's going to have your class colors in most places. I like that a lot more. Set up chat. The CVAR should already be set, but you can press it again. Plater should already be selected. If you press this bigwigs button here, this will reset your, if you have a bigwigs profile that you're currently using, this will reset your bigwigs. Set details. I'll show you how to get the details profile. Sometimes it makes it work, sometimes it doesn't. Set up Omni CD, and then finished. So as you can tell, this UI doesn't look like my UI. This is the Luckyone default UI. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to LVUI. You're going to go to Profiles. You're going to go to Import Profile. And then in the description, I have my profile that you can import. Just import it, and there. Now yours is going to look exactly how I have mine. Next, let's fix details. So you're just going to grab the details profile. You're going to type /details, options, click on profiles, click import profile, and paste the string in. You can call it whatever you want. Next, let's import the plater profile. Go to profiles, press import profile. Press OK. Now your plater is going to look like mine. Now let's import an AFNAR. I use AFNAR stuff. They aren't perfect, and you do need to add stuff to them, but I'll show you how I set mine. So let's import a new Weekora. So the very first thing I do is I change the position offset from -205 to -250. I move it really far down. So by default, it covers up the bottom of your character, and it makes it hard to see if your character is standing in bad or not. And the very next thing I do is I go over to display. I open up the suite. So we're going to look for stuff that has an alpha set of 30%. This is like utility stuff that's on the sides. All I do is I just set it to 100. What this is doing is it's making it show out of combat, and I just do this with literally everything. And there you go. Now when you close it, everything is going to be in full view. I missed a couple things, but if you miss anything, one way to do it is you press view twice. This shows everything, and then you can right click on it. Okay, change the alpha to 100. One of them was raise dead, I think. Okay, now that we have the add-ons like looking a good baseline for close to how they look to mine, I'm actually going to go into each add-on and I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and I'm going to show you how to edit it if you want to edit it further. I couldn't figure out how to fix this raise dead. I'm sure there's some way to do it. So let's start with LVUI. Whenever you want to change anything about LVUI, my recommendation is to click the toggle anchors button, and that will show you where everything is on the screen. Okay, so let's say I don't like the player frame, just something about it. I want to change something about the player frame. You right click on it, and it's going to open up to where it's all the options are. Important thing to note about Luckyone is the health information is not in the health section. Luckyone does everything through, not everything, but it does like a lot of the text stuff through custom text. So if you want to change the HP, then you need to go to custom text, and you can change what it's displaying, where it's located. You can change the font size, the actual font itself, level, name, power. And it's the same for player and target, pet, and target of target. Make sure you go to custom text if you want to change anything about the texts. I'm not going to get too much into LVUI. Just this is how I personally have my bars set up. If most people are going to have their bars set up differently, so feel free to change the action bars. I use bars 1 through 7, and then I don't use 8, 9, or 10 at all. I use them for action paging, for like druid forms or stealth or whatever. bar 1, 2, 3, and 4 I all use for like combat keybinds. I have a couple combat keybinds on bar 6. I mostly use it for like mounts and hearthstones and crap. Bar 5 and 7, these are just bars that I put buff food on, consumables, stuff that I don't mind clicking, and I always show bars 5 and 7. Okay, let me go through the default game options. I turn on auto loot, turn on sticky targeting. You can turn on interact on left click if you want. For raid profiles, for when I'm doing dungeons or arenas, I just turn on all this stuff except for pets and dispellable debuffs. I set the frame height and the frame width both to max. I display health percentage on the text. It's really easy to move it around like closer to the middle of your screen, or move it wherever you want. I like it closer to the middle so it's easier to see. When I'm doing like actual raiding, I make another profile that has like much smaller frames, and they're off to the side of the screen because since I'm not a healer, I don't need to really see them as much. Here's how to configure each add-on. Let's start with Adibags. So the very first thing I would do with Adibags is disable all of the currencies. For some reason, it has every single currency enabled by default, including all of like the ancient deprecated, borderline deprecated currencies that you're never really gonna need to track. You can track whatever you want. I just track honor and conquest. You can track like your soul ash, your soul cinders if you want. So once you turn off all of this stuff, next thing I would do, you can change your column width from 4 to like, let's say 8. That's gonna make your each column way longer horizontally. I actually like the default of 4. The scale, I think it's too small by default. I like 90% scale. And the maximum bag height, this is really important for how you are personally going to want it. If you set it to 30%, then your bag is going to be really long, and it's going to be really short. If you set it to 90%, it's going to be really thin, and it's going to be really tall. So then we'll go to track new items. Personally, I disable the track new items. I don't like it at all. I don't like the way it looks. It bothers me. Just disabling it makes me feel better. You can change the fonts on it from Fritz Quattro over 2000. I like 2002 more. Some people like seeing the free space visually like this. That is an option if you like just seeing how many boxes you have. Personally, I like seeing the one box and just seeing like 63. I like that a lot more. There's nothing to really change about auto turn in. You just set your quest, you just make sure it's enabled, and you set it to the quest type you want. So for big debuffs, what I do is I go to the nameplates. Because I have a special plater profile that has like debuffs on the right already, all I do is I change the X offset on the right to like, I think like 30, maybe like maybe 25. I just move it out to the right so it's a bit easier to see. There's nothing to change about elk experience other than you can disable the minimap button if you want. There's nothing to change about GottaGoFast. For Handynotes, for the overall settings, all I do is I turn down the alpha a little bit so that way it's partially see-through, and I definitely turn the minimap alpha down a bunch so that way it's easier to tell if I'm actually looking at a real treasure or if I'm looking at like a Handynotes thing. There's nothing to change about method raid tools, nothing to change about this. Omni CD, the only thing to change about this is if you want it in, I don't use it in outdoor zones, I don't use it in scenarios, I only use it in dungeons and arenas. Paste, there's nothing to change about this. Plater, a very complex add-on. My Plater profile, I can like make a video about how to mess with Plater, but it's a really difficult add-on to mess with. I'd recommend you just either use my Plater, or if you don't like it, I would like go look for other Plater profiles that are available on WAG.io. Rarescanner, I do actually change the sound. I disable the audio alerts completely because I hate the audio alerts. And then I turn off the icons on the minimap. And there's a display, I think. Yeah, I turn off the miniature, I turn off the button, and I just show like the raid warning in the chat. That's really it. The only thing I want from Rarescanner is it to say at the top, blah 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 has appeared, and then I can look at my minimap and I can go look for blah blah blah. RC Loot Council, nothing to change about it. Saved instances, nothing to change about it. TomTom. There is one thing to change about TomTom. turn off the coordinate block. Okay, now for the like really heavy editing stuff. I wish I could just export these profiles, but you can't. For GladiatorLoSSA 2, you press this button, and this is going to give you Lua errors when you do, but you just have to do it. So for abilities, basically, you don't want her saying everything. By default, this chick is constantly going to be screaming at you like whenever literally anything in the arena. Like if someone presses a global, she's gonna let you know, and you do not want that, because what you want out of this add-on ideally is that she's telling you when the most important things are happening. Like when your healer gets interrupted, you need to know that. When your healer gets CC'd, oh, they landed a polymorph on my healer, you need to know that. When a DK presses Icebound Fortitude, he's stun immune. You need to know that. When he presses Pillar of Frost, it means he's bursting. You need to know that. Generally, always keep that in mind with when you're fiddling with this add-on. Only have her saying stuff that is of the utmost importance that you need to know about immediately. The reason for this is that audio information is processed faster in the brain than visual information. It takes the brain more time to understand visual information. So if you are efficiently using the audio in the game, you're going to be able to make quicker decisions. You're going to be able to make better reactions in your gameplay. DK, I track Pillar of Frost, Icebound Fortitude, Demon Hunter, Blur, Netherwalk. Druid, I track Wall, I track Celestial Alignment, I track Cenarian Ward, and Berserk. I don't track anything else. You can track Thorns, you can track Nature's Swiftness if you want. If you're playing like a Purge class and you want to try to purge Nature's Swiftness immediately, you can. For Hunters, all I track is if they land a trap. You can also track Aspect of the Turtle, is nice.
Deterrence.
I don't generally. Double tap is good to track as well. Big Debuffs usually has you covered on it. None of that other stuff is that important. Maybe Coordinated Assault. For Mage, you absolutely should be tracking both Icy Veins and Combustion. You can track
AP.
Arcane Power too, but you know, unless you queue in a Sieve Arc, you're probably not going to be seeing too many Arcane Mages right now. Ice Form, absolutely. Same with Alter Time. You need to know the second these buttons are pressed. For Monk, when they Wall, when they Cocoon, when they Serenity, you all need to know. You can track Diffuse as well. You can also track Dampen Harm.
Dampen Harm.
That's not too bad. For Paladin, you want to track Wall. You want to track Holy Avenger and Crusade. Those are just different versions of Avenging Wrath. And Avenging Crusader, it's like a PvP talent, I think. Vengeance Shield, this is good. It's decent to track. It's not that important. Divine Favor is really important to track.
Hand of Protection.
Bop is fine to track. For Priest, you need to be tracking Pain Suppression because it can be kind of subtle, and knowing exactly when PS goes out, like the instant it goes out, you can do a target swap or something crazy. Power Infusion basically lets you know when they're bursting. Void Form lets you know when they're bursting. Guardian Spirit and Rapture, you should both track. You can track Dispersion. I generally don't need to. Also track Ray of Hope. It's really good to counter this ability in the meta, like if you have an ability that can. For Rogue, I only track Cloak, Shadow Blades, Evasion, and Shadowy Duel. I'll check Shadow Dance
Shadow
as well.
Dance.
For Shaman, you're going to want to track Astral Shift, Doomwind's Ascendance, and Spirit Walker's Grace. I think I had that disabled specifically because she has a really long voice line, and I typically don't enable the things when has really long voice lines. Warlock, tracking everything is fine. I'm using a melee profile, so I don't track like Nether Ward, I don't track interrupts. If you are a caster, or if you want to play caster, I recommend you make a caster profile separate to a melee profile, and you do track stuff like Nether Ward. You do track all of the interrupts. I don't track any of them. A warrior, the only things you really need to track are like Sharpened Blade, track Die by the Sword.
Die by the Sword.
Duel is okay to track. You can track Avatar, I guess.
Avatar.
That's kind of good to track. As for Buff Down, it's good to know when Ultimate Form drops, so that way you know, like, okay, I can CC this target. Generally, for Buff, you're not going to be tracking too much stuff for Buff Down. You can track Netherwalk down. Knowing when Alter Time goes down is really good. That lets you know, like, instantly if you dispelled it correctly, or if it got purged off well. When Karma drops, that's really important to know. Bop, Bubble, Divine Favor, all really important to know when they go down. For spell casts, You can track door shadows if you want. I'm 50-50 on it. The hunt, this is a very good ability to track. You really want to know when a demon hunter is hunting. Cyclone is pretty decent to track. Whenever you're tracking these CC abilities, sometimes you're going to run into the problem where they're getting spammed. Like if you're playing against a druid, there's a chance that the druid is just going to be pressing Cyclone a whole lot, and she's going to be spamming you saying Cyclone, Cyclone, Cyclone. So if you select things like, if you select Polymorph and Fear and Cyclone and Hex, and you queue into Mage Lock playing with a Paladin, you're going to hear the whole arena, Polymorph, Fear, Polymorph, Fear, Polymorph, Fear. So, just keep that in mind. Radiant Spark is a good thing to track it because you need to react to it. Generally, there's not that many mage spellcasts that matter that much. Part of the logic you have to keep in mind, the reason why it's not that Ring of Frost isn't an important ability, it's that I can see Ring of Frost coming. It's giant, it's easy to see, it has a huge visual. If the Ring of Frost is relevant to me and I need to react to it, I already know what's happening. I know they're Ring of Frosting my healer. That's not a secret. Rep is good to track. Mind Games and Master Spell are both amazing to track. MC is fine. For Shaman, I only track Hex and Stormkeeper. There's no reason. You can track Free Transfusion is good to track as well. There's no reason to track Ice Fury, Elmo Blast, or Chain Harvest. For Warlock, absolutely track Decimating Bolt, Death Bolt, and Summon Demonic Tyrant. You can track Shadow Fury as well if you want. It's not bad.
Shadow Fury.
And Soul Rot. I'll let you know that they're like getting ready to do big damn. And you can track
Shattering Thrill.
Cast Success. Definitely want to track Trinket. Shackle. You definitely want to track Shackle in the current meta. Definitely want to track Gladiator's Medallion. Well, Everyman from Self is also good to track. For interrupts, the only one, because this is my melee profile, like I said, I don't care about interrupts, but the one I do track is Solar Beam. When Solar Beam goes out, that means it's on my healer and I need to react. You could also track Wind Shear, but like, I'm already tracking ally lockout alerts, so I know if my healer gets locked out. Like, she's gonna say healer, or like shaman locked on healing whatever, I'll know that information, so I don't need to track any of this stuff as a melee. For DK, you absolutely want to track Chill Streak and Dark Transform. That's when big that's not when big damage has already happened. That's when big damage is incoming and you need to do something about it. Like for Chill Streak, you need to spread apart. For Dark Transform, you need to have a plan for like the Unholy DK or his pet or whatever. Like this means big damage is incoming. For Demon Hunter, I-Beam is good. When they say I-Beam, you need to interrupt. That way you can lightning fast reaction, instant interrupt it. Darkness is a good thing to track. For Druid, I track Trank, Mighty Bash, Kindred Empowerment, and Convoke. Also track Feral Frenzy. For Hunter, I recommend Death Chakram, Flayed Shot, and Bestial Wrath. You can also track Intimidate if you want. For Mage, the only thing I track is Ray of Frost. Monk, you need to know when they Karma. You need to know when they Bone Dust Brew. Don't really need to know anything else. Paladin, I track Divine Toll is really, really good to track. Aura Mastery is also really good to track, and so is Sack.
Ultimate Sacrifice.
So is Hodge, actually.
Hammer of Justice.
In general, I wouldn't track that much. Siphene, Unholy Nova, those are the big, definitely track this. You need to react to Siphene and Unholy Nova. It just lets you know that they're setting up to do big damage soon. For Rogue, I track Blind, Vanish, Vendetta, Kidney Shot. There's not too much else that needs to be tracked. Flagellation is kind of good to track because like it lets you know like massive damage is about to happen. I don't track anything from Shaman. Lightning Lasso is decent to track. For Shaman, generally you're just tracking their totems. Like you need to know when Counter Strike comes out. You need to know when Vesper. You need to know when Vesper goes out. That's really important. You don't need to know when Wind Fury Tome comes out because you're already tracking Doom Winds. So Wind Fury, it doesn't matter that they press Wind Fury Totem. All that matters is Doom Winds. For Warlock, you need to know when they press Fell Obelisk. It's really important to kill it because it empowers them, gives them a lot of bonus damage. You need to know when they press Dark Glare, Infernal, Havoc. I generally don't track Mortal Coil, but you can. And then for Warrior, Colossal Smash. That's about it. I don't track Spirit Bat. Stormbolt's good. Stormbolt's a great thing to track, but I don't track Spirit Bastion. That's it for GladiatorLoSSA and how I use it. Feel free to change it however, whatever works best for you. That's what's most important. Just use logic, use your brain, think like, Okay, what do I need to know about that I'm not paying enough attention to? Do I need to know when the Warlock presses Cataclysm? Probably not, honestly. But, you know, do I need to know when the Warlock presses Deathbolt? Absolutely. I really need to know when that happens because it's really important. It's changing the course of my current game. Omnibar, the way that I do Omnibar is that I do nameplate cooldowns and I do Omnibar at the same time. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'll put Omnibar over here, and I will put nameplate cooldowns over here. I'll go to spells, and we'll do this one class at a time. Let's start with Death Knight. Both of these add-ons are tracking the enemy's cooldowns. So what you want to do is you don't want to track every button in the entire game. That's stupid. You don't like need to know the cooldown of Chill Streak, honestly. Like if a DK presses Pillar of Frost, then he's gonna press Chill Streak. But you can track Chill Streak if you want. That's not even that bad of a thing to track. My personal logic and what I go with is I put shorter cooldowns and I put CC cooldowns above their head, so that way, you know, as I'm watching their character run around, I'm looking at their nameplate, I'm checking what they're doing. I see that Blinding Sleet is up in 3 seconds, and I know that he has a Pillar of Frost coming up, so I know he's going to look for a grip into a Blinding Sleet, into a Pillar of Frost, into a Chill Streak. Like that's what he's going to do. So I can change my game, like how I'm moving, how I'm positioning, what I'm doing. I can react and prepare for that and change my gameplay around it. What I do is I usually put longer cooldowns on Omnibar. I put the shorter cooldowns above the nameplate, because the longer cooldowns, you don't need to reference these super often. Yes, I do need to know when Icebound Fortitude is coming back, so that way I know whether or not I can kill him in a Stormbolt. That's really important to know, but, you know, I don't need to always know this. I just need to know, like, every now and then. So I check my Omnibar every now and then. So I'll show you what I track for Demon Hunter. I track Meta, Darkness, and the Hunt. That's it. Over here I track Blur, Chaos Nova, I-Beam, Fell Eruption. That's it. Druid, I track Barkskin, Frenzied Regen, Incap, Roar, and if I was a caster, I'd track Skull Bash, but I'm not. Over here I track Cenarian Ward. I would track Cenarian Ward over their head, but there's not an option for it, which makes me sad. But so I have to track it over here. But I track Cenarian Ward, Celestial Alignment, Tranquility, Berserk, Survival Instincts, Solar Beam, and Convoke. And Iron Park. I would track Solar Beam. Actually, I'm going to track Solar Beam over here. I'm going to move that over here because it's a short cool. It's only a 1 minute cooldown. That's better over here. I would track Convoke over their head as well because it's a really high prio spell, even though it's not like meta or anything. I would track it over here, but it's not an option. One sad thing about this add-on is it doesn't track like everything. It misses some stuff. For Hunter, over their head, I'm tracking. I need to know when they disengage. I need to know when they have Feign Death. I need to know when they have Freezing Trap. I need to know when they have Pet Stun. All 4 of those things are extremely high priority. I need to know immediately. And then over in the All Omnibar, I'm tracking Aspect of the Turtle and Exhilaration and Roar of Sacrifice, and that's it. If I played RMP, I'd probably track Roar of Sacrifice over their head. Mage, track Combustion, Icy Veins, and that's it. You can track Ice Block as well if you want. And then over the mage's head, I track Blink. I track Combustion twice because it's a really important button to track. Blink, Combustion, Dragon's Breath, Frost Nova, and Shimmer. Monk. I don't really track much for Monk. Just when Life Cocoon and Touch of Karma and Diffuse. I track Bone Dust Brew above the head, Leg Sweep, Paralysis, Ring of Peace, and that's it. You could also track Touch of Karma is a pretty important ability. You could track that above their head if you want. Paladin, I track Aura Mastery, Avenging Wrath, Shield of Vengeance, all on the Omnibar. And then above the head, I'm tracking, you know, Divine Favor, Divine Protection, Divine Toll, Hammer of Justice. Those little things are like super high prio. Priest, I don't track much for priest, just Guardian, Spirit, Rapture, Dispersion, and Power Word Barrier. That's it. Above the head, we track the Divine Ascension, Greater Fade, Holy Word Chastise, Mind Games, Psychic Horror and Psychic Scream, Unholy Nova, and Silence. So if you're playing against a Shadow Priest, this is going to have a lot of crap above their head. But if you're playing against like a Disc Priest, this isn't going to be tracking that many buttons. It's only going to be tracking, this tracks like 3 buttons. Rogue. Track Shadowy Duel, Evasion, Shadow Blades, Vendetta, Smoke Bomb, all up here, because there is a chance that they get to second Shadow Blades, there is a chance they get to second Smoke Bomb, but the vast majority of RMX games, you're not going to get to second Smoke Bomb. You're not going to make it to second Shadow Blades. Either they're going to kill someone in under 3 minutes, or they're going to die. For Rogue, above the head, I track Blind, even though it is a longer cooldown. That generally goes against what I was saying, but Blind is like extremely important ability, so I track it above the head. And then Shadow Step, so I know when they have mobility available, and Kidney Shot. Kidney Shot is probably like one of the highest priority things to track above the head. If you know when it's coming out, that's the entirety of RMP is kidney. Okay, they have Kidney Shot, they have Stun DR, they're gonna press Kidney Shot and they're gonna do damn. So you have to be ready for it. And that's it for the PvP add-ons, and that's how I track things in Arena. It's not perfect, and it's just how I do it for me, but hopefully, my logic and showing you how I do things can help you improve and help you play at a higher level. These add-ons are extremely good and they're extremely useful, but they do require you to put in input, effort, thought, and practice. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.